When an object moves in a single straight line, or which we know as rectilinear motion, sobrang madali lang siyang i-track. It either speeds up, slows down, or maintains its speed along that exact same line. Pero when an object moves along a curved path, or which we call curvilinear motion, dalawang bagay ang nagbabago ng sabay. Number 1 is yung magnitude change. Dito, natutukoy kung gaano siya kabilis. The second one is directional change, kung saan nakaturo yung galaw niya or yung direction. So, bakit mahirap ang Cartesian coordinates sa curves? Using standard fixed x minus y coordinates for curved path requires complex calculus. Dahil laging nagbabago yung direction ng object relative sa static x and y axis, magiging super intertwined at komplikado ang position at velocity functions over time. So to make things simple, engineers use the path coordinate system or T-N, which attaches an axis system directly sa mismong gumagalaw na object. The T-N coordinate framework, or yung mas kilala natin sa path coordinate system T-N. Ang T or ang tangential axis, yun yung tangent sa curve at sa object's exact position. Laging nakaturo ito sa instantaneous direction ng motion. Yung N o yung normal axis, perpendicular siya sa 90 degrees tangential line. It always points inward toward the center of the curve's arc. Lastly, yung radius of curvature or yung ρ. Ito yung radius ng imaginary circle called osculating circle na saktong-sakto sa curve at that exact microsecond. Kapag sharp ang turn, maliit ang ρ. Kapag gentle, sweeping turn, malaki yung ρ. Instead of dealing with a single complex acceleration vector na humihila sa iba't ibang direksyon, hihimayin natin ang total acceleration into two completely independent and localized components. Kumbaga, may kanya-kanya silang trabaho. Number 1 is yung tangential acceleration. Sa tangential acceleration, ito yung responsable only for changing kung gaano kabilis bumiyahe yung object. The magnitude of velocity vector. Kumbaga, wala siyang pakialam sa direksyon. Number 2, normal acceleration, o tinatawag ding centripetal acceleration. It is responsible only for bending the object's path into a curve, changing the direction of the velocity vector. Deadman naman ito sa pagbabago ng bilis. And lastly, total acceleration. Dahil perfectly perpendicular 90% apart ang tangential at normal axis, nagpo-form sila ng right triangle. To find the net total acceleration magnitude, gagamitin natin ang Pythagorean theorem. So, let's proceed naman sa civil engineering applications. Bakit nga ba ito super important sa mga civil engineers? Dahil ang mga infrastructure natin ay hindi lang basta nakatayo dyan. They dictate how the vehicles, water, and structural loads move safely through physical space. Sa application number 1, which is highway and railway curve. Kapag lumiliko ang sasakyan sa isang sharp curve, nararamdaman natin na natutulak tayo pabaliktad. That's your body's inertia wanting to go straight, habang yung sasakyan naman ay nakakaranas ng inward normal acceleration. It has 3 factors. Number 1, yung limiting G-forces. Kailangan i-design ng transportation engineers ang curves na may sapat na radius at design speed limit. Ang mararamdaman ng passengers ay safe at hindi nakakahilong ride or yung pag-skid ng gulong, which is yun nga yung normal acceleration. Number 2 is yung super elevation or yung banking. Para makontra yung lateral sliding sensation dulot ng normal acceleration, nagkakaroon ng tilt or gumagawa ng tilt yung mga engineers sa kalsada or riles ng tren papasok. This allows a portion of a vehicle's weight to help pull it into a turn, which neutralizes the side forces. And lastly, yung spiral transition curves. Kung ang isang tuwid na kalsada ay biglang dudugtong sa isang pabilog na kurbada, magkakaroon ng biglaang talon ng normal acceleration from 0 to a high value. Mapapajerk ang manibela ng driver, kaya nagpapasok ang engineers ng spiral curve kung saan unti-unting lumiliit ang radius para smooth lang yung pag-scale ng normal acceleration. Number 2, roller coaster structural engineering. Sinusubaybayan ng mga coaster designers ang tangential and normal acceleration microsecond by microsecond. Ang mabilis na pagbabago ng acceleration profiles ay nagdudulot ng matinding cyclical loading. Kaya kailangan i-engineer ang steel support columns para maiwasan ng structural fatigue failure over time.
Good day everyone. I am Andrew John B. Ceremonia and I will be discussing the topic of tangential and normal components of acceleration. As you can see in the videos earlier and some slides, it discusses the overview and some concept of tangential and normal components of acceleration. In this video, we will be discussing the whole concept of these topics. Importante ito para maintindihan natin kung paano gumagalaw ang isang object, lalo na kapag hindi straight line yung motion, kundi curved path, tulad ng kotse na lumiliko o roller coaster na umaandar sa track. After this presentation, mas maintindihan ninyo kung paano nagbabago ang motion in terms of speed and direction, at paano ba naging tangent and normal to the curve yung umaandar na object sa isang curve path. Now, we are discussing about the components of acceleration. But first, what is acceleration? Acceleration is the change in motion o yung simpleng pagbabago ng motion. At may dalawang paraan para mabago ang motion, especially when a vehicle is moving in a curved path or an object is moving or going to a curved path. Una is the change in speed or pagbabago ng bilis. Kapag bumibilis o bumabagal ang sasakyan ng halimbawa nito. The next one is the change in direction or yung pagbabago ng direksyon. Kapag ang isang kotse ay lumiliko or kapag ang isang bagay ay nagtitake turns sa isang daan, it is changing its direction. So kahit constant yung speed, basta nagbabago ng direction, may acceleration pa rin. Kaya yung sa mga curve path, kapag yung isang sasakyan ay merong constant speed sa kanyang pagdaan sa kurbada ng kalsada, pero dahil siya nga ay dumadaan sa curve path na kalsada, it changes its direction. So sa bawat part ng curve ng kalsadang yon, iba-iba ng direction yung pinatutunguhan o yung pinaaandaran nung sasakyan. So there's still an acceleration in that situation. Importanteng tandaan ito kasi kadalasan iniisip natin na ang acceleration ay about speed lang. Pero hindi. Kasama rin ang direction. Kasama rin yung motion. Kasi yung motion is meron siyang direction. Kaakibat niya lagi yung direction. So, napakahalaga na lagi natin i-consider yung direction and yung speed ng isang sasakyan in terms of acceleration. Next is the motion along curb path. Kapag straight line ang motion, simple lang. Ang acceleration ay just moving forward or in a backward direction. Pero kapag curb path, nagbabago ang direction ng motion continuously. And in real life, wala namang kalsadang padiretso or infinite straight line. Bihira lang ito at kung meron pang straight line, meron pa rin siyang dadaan ng curb path o kurbadang kalsada. For example, yung kotse sa kalsada na lumiliko, bike na lumiliko, roller coaster na nagtitake ng loop. Sa mga ganitong sitwasyon, the acceleration is pwedeng magbago o pwedeng maiba dahil sa pagbabago ng bilis at pagbabago ng direction or change in speed and change in direction. Or in the same situation, when an object is taking a turn in a curb path, it can be change both the speed and direction at the same time. Pero pwede silang magbago ng pareho sa parehong pagkakataon o ng parehas. Yan. So, sa parehong pagkakataon. So, dahil doon, naiiba yung acceleration noong moving object o moving vehicle sa curb path. At dahil dito, nabubuo yung two components of acceleration, which is the tangential component of acceleration and the normal component of acceleration. Mahalaga itong malaman natin dahil, as I've said, inuulit ko, pwedeng parehong magbago ng sabay ang bilis at direksyon ng sasakyan once it moves in a curb path. Unlike sa straight line or in a vertical motion, sa rectilinear or free-falling bodies na ating na-discuss in the previous topics, nandun na yung acceleration doon ay it focuses only in a moving forward or backward motion, and dun sa free-falling bodies in a moving or backward in a upward or downward motion due to its gravity when it is falling and due to the force that makes the object thrown above the air. So dahil doon, lahat yun ay mga vertical or horizontal acceleration only. But naiiba ang acceleration when the object takes a turn in a curb path, which is it makes the component of tangential and normal component of acceleration. So now let's talk about the first component of acceleration, which is the tangential component of acceleration. Tangential component of acceleration is parallel to the path of motion and to the direction of motion. So kung titingnan mo yung green car dyan, yung tangent line, yun yung direction ng tangential acceleration. Meaning, siya ang responsible sa pagbabago ng bilis. Kapag bumibilis, may tangential acceleration. Kapag bumabagal, opposite yung direction ng tangential acceleration. At syempre, kapag constant yung bilis noong moving object or moving vehicle, hindi siya nag-accelerate, hindi siya nag-decelerate, constant yung velocity, there is no tangential component of acceleration because, as I've said, it is parallel to the motion of the moving vehicle, and it is responsible to the magnitude of velocity. Of course, acceleration is the change in motion. Because it is constant, walang pagbabago dahil walang nangyaring pagbabago sa bilis noong moving object or moving vehicle, edi wala ring change in speed. So there is no tangential component of acceleration, but still the vehicle is moving in a curved path. Still there is acceleration, but there is no tangential acceleration. There is only normal acceleration. And dahil doon, we will now talk about the normal component of acceleration. So now let's talk about the first component of acceleration, which is the tangential component of acceleration. Tangential component of acceleration is parallel to the path of motion and to the direction of motion. So kung titingnan mo yung green car dyan, yung tangent line, yun yung direction ng tangential acceleration. Meaning, siya ang responsible sa pagbabago ng bilis. Kapag bumibilis, may tangential acceleration. Kapag bumabagal, opposite yung direction ng tangential acceleration. At syempre, kapag constant yung bilis noong moving object or moving vehicle, hindi siya nag-accelerate, hindi siya nag-decelerate, constant yung velocity, there is no tangential component of acceleration because, as I've said, it is parallel to the motion of the moving vehicle, and it is responsible to the magnitude of velocity. Of course, acceleration is the change in motion. Because it is constant, walang pagbabago dahil walang nangyaring pagbabago sa bilis noong moving object or moving vehicle, edi wala ring change in speed. So there is no tangential component of acceleration, but still the vehicle is moving in a curved path. Still there is acceleration, but there is no tangential acceleration. There is only normal acceleration. And dahil doon, we will now talk about the normal component of acceleration. Ngayon naman, pag-uusapan natin kung paano naging tangent at normal to the curved path yung two components of acceleration by discussing this diagram first. This first diagram, kasi may kasunod pa. Makikita natin na ang object ay gumagalaw along a curved path from point A, yung tuldok at may A, papuntang point B. Hindi siya straight line, kaya importante na maiintindihan natin na habang gumagalaw siya, nagbabago yung direction ng motion niya. Sa point A, ang velocity ng object ay represented by vector v sub A. At sa point B, ang velocity naman ay v sub B. Mapapansin natin, parehong tangent sa curve yung v sub A at yung v sub B. Ibig sabihin, at any point, ang velocity ay laging nakadikit or aligned sa direction ng path. Pero dahil yung path ay curve, magkaiba yung direction ng v sub A and at ng V sub B. Ngayon, tingnan natin itong dashed line mula point A papuntang point O. Ito yung tinatawag na radius of curvature. Ang point O, ang center of curvature, at yung line na R ay perpendicular sa path sa point A. Ibig sabihin, ang direction ng R ay papunta sa center ng curve at ito rin ang direction kung saan nakaturo ang normal component. Kaya sinabi ko nga kanina sa discussion ko sa normal components, it is towards the center of the curve. Yun namang angle of change or yung delta theta na makikita nyo dyan sa diagram, it means na habang gumagalaw ang object mula A to B, nagbabago ang direction niya ng maliit na angle na tinatawag na delta theta. Ito yung angle between sa dalawang radius from O to A and O to B. Dahil maliit ang movement, small angle approximation ang ginagamit dyan. Ngayon, importante yung relationship na ito. H is equals to R delta theta. Bakit? Ang arc length ng curve ay approximately S is equals to R delta theta. At yung height na H, vertical drop from B, ay related sa change in direction. So basically, habang umiikot yung motion, yung change in direction ay directly connected sa radius R. So in this diagram, the radius of curvature R is very important because it defines the direction towards the center and it explains why even if the speed is constant, there is still a normal acceleration due to the continuous change in direction. Now, let's move on to the next diagram, which is directly connected sa naunang concept. Dito naman, hindi na natin tinitignan yung path. Instead, focus tayo sa change in velocity or yung tinatawag na delta B or change in velocity. Makikita natin dito na from point O to C, ito yung vector V sub A or velocity at point A. From point O to F, ito naman yung tinatawag na velocity at point B or V sub B. Since galing tayo sa curve motion, magkaiba ang direction ng V sub A at V sub B. Kahit same magnitude, nag-rotate sila ng angle na delta o delta theta. Ngayon, paano natin makukuha ang change in velocity? By vector subtraction. Change in velocity is equals to V sub B minus B sub A. Graphically, kinoconnect natin yung tip ng V sub A papunta sa tip ng V sub B. That line is the delta V o change in velocity. So, yung triangle na nabuo is triangle OCF. Represents the relationship between V sub A, V sub B, and the change in velocity denoted by delta V. Ngayon, very important part ito. Yung delta B, hinahati natin ito into two components. First one is the tangential component denoted by delta V, subscript niya ay T o delta V sub T. Ito yung part na along the direction ng motion. Makikita sa diagram as horizontal along V sub B. Meaning, ito yung responsible sa pagbabago ng speed. Kung bumibilis, positive delta V sub T. Kung bumabagal, negative delta V sub T. Ang next naman is yung normal component denoted by delta V sub n, small n. Ito yung vertical part pababa mula point C to point D. Perpendicular siya sa V sub B. Meaning, ito yung responsible sa pagbabago ng direction. At mapapansin na nakaturo siya papunta sa center of curvature. Same idea from first diagram with the radius or r. Ngayon, ito yung pinaka-importante. Kapag constant ang speed, walang pagbabago sa magnitude ng velocity or delta v sub t is equals to 0. So anong matitira? Purely normal ang delta v. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng change in velocity ay dahil lang sa pag-ikot ng direction. Since acceleration is equals to change in velocity over change in time, then AT o tangential component of acceleration is equals to delta Vt over delta t, and normal component of acceleration or AN is equals to the change in velocity sub n over change in time. So tangential acceleration changes speed and normal acceleration changes direction. So this diagram shows that the total change in velocity can be split into two perpendicular components, tangential and normal. And when the speed is constant, the tangential component disappears, leaving only the normal component, which is responsible for changing the direction of the motion. And that is the explanation about this topic in these two diagrams. Thank you.
Good day everyone, my name is Rench Charles Iberes, and today we're going to dive deep into vector combinations and formulas, which is yung mathematical backbone kung paano nagmo-move yung mga objects through space. So kapag titingin tayo sa isang machine, sabihin natin pwedeng robotic arm, gumagalaw, pwedeng kotse, hindi na tayo tumitingin sa isang particle na gumagalaw through space. Tumitingin tayo sa isang rigid body. And para describe natin yung movement ng mga complex systems or objects na to, hindi lang tayo pwede mag-rely sa isang simple scalar addition. Kailangan natin gumamit ng vector algebra to account for both the magnitude and yung precise direction ng motion. So today, we will break down the three pillars of rigid body kinematics. So ito yung position, velocity, and acceleration. And by the end of this presentation, maintindihan mo kung paano i-combine itong mga vectors na to. And kung paano natin ma-determine yung movement and ma-describe yung movement ng isang system or ng isang rigid body. So what is vector combination? Okay, so bago tayo pumunta sa mga formulas, kailangan muna natin i-define exactly what we mean by vector combination. So in the context of dynamics of rigid bodies, this is the process of synthesizing multiple movement into one resultant vector. So pwedeng gumawa ng movement yung object towards the x-axis into the y-axis. And pag pinagsama natin, yun yung magiging resultant vector niya. So makikita mo naman yan dito sa diagram na nasa picture. Okay, so makikita natin na pwedeng yung object, hindi lang siya gumagalaw in a straight line. So pwedeng nag-move forward siya, nagta-translate, tapos yung body mismo, habang nagta-translate yung object, is umiikot or nag-spin. Yung para makikita natin sa mga gulong ng bike, ng motorcycle. Okay, so in dynamics, we use vector algebra because motion is a multidirectional phenomenon. So yung object and yung motion, hindi lang siya gumagalaw sa isang line. No? Marami siyang direction. So for example, if point X is moving up and point Y is moving right, yung combination yan ay hindi lang basta number. So may makukuha rin tayo dyang specific angle. So ginagamit natin tong mga combinations na to para ma-bridge natin yung gap between what we call relative motion. So yung relative motion naman ito is tumutukoy sa kung paano gumagalaw yung isang point compared to another point. Like how point B moves compared to point A. So that is relative motion. So on the other hand, may tinatawag din tayong absolute motion. So ito naman yung how point B moves compared to the fixed ground. Yan, isang example yan ng absolute motion. So ngayon na natakal na natin yung pinaka-concept ng vector combination, mag-head naman tayo sa mga formulas. Okay, so now let's look at our first fundamental formula, which is the position vector. So in this picture, makita tayong diagram. Tapos meron din tayong rigid body, which is yung irregular shape. Okay? So dun sa rigid body na yon is may makikita tayong 2 points, which is yung point A and point B. Now, to find the absolute position of point B, denoted as RB, we use a reference point, which is A. So, magkakaroon tayo ng ganito formula. RB is equals to RA plus RB relative to A. Okay? So, again, RA is the location of point A, and RBA is the vector from A to B. Tapos yung RB, yun yung location of point B. Okay, so let's break this down. Okay? Yung RA or position A is the position of our reference point from the origin O. While RBA is what we call the relative position vector. So it represents the vector from A to B. So paano yun? So ganito siya. Sabihin natin, dito ka nag-stand sa point O, sa origin point. Tapos gusto mo makapunta sa point B. Okay? Para mas makapunta tayo na mas madali doon, kasi makikita mo long distance siya, pwede tayo mag-walk first sa point A. Okay? Yung RA. And then from A, makikita mo na yung point B. Tapos i-walk mo na yung remaining distance. And yung remaining distance na yun, yun yung tinatawag natin na RBA or yung relative position vector. So, okay, so position of B relative to A. Okay. So, in a rigid body, tulad nito, yung magnitude or yung value nung RBA, hindi siya magbabago kasi nga rigid siya. However, yung direction niya is pwedeng magbago if yung object is nagro-rotate. Okay. So, yun yung kailangan nating malaman dito sa position vector. So, establishing this triangle is the skeleton of our analysis. So, every velocity, every acceleration calculation na gagawin natin later on will depend if na-identify natin correctly itong position vectors. So, without a fixed reference point, ang hirap mag-track ng motion. So, yun lang for position vector. Now, let's head to our next formula. So, moving from position to vector, dito natin ma-encounter yung velocity vector combination. Okay. So, according sa diagram natin dito sa image, we will come up with a formula like VB is equals to VA plus W times RBA. Sabihin natin, hinahanap natin yung velocity of point B dito. Okay, so yung formula is depende sa diagram and depende sa hinahanap natin. Pero himay-himayin natin yung formula natin. So, okay. So yung VB, ibig sabihin niya, siya yung velocity of point B, which is yung hinahanap natin. While VA, siya naman yung velocity of point A. While yung W na makikita mo dito, siya yung angular velocity of the rigid body. So what does that mean? Means, yun yung rotational velocity ng rigid body natin. Yung pag-ikot niya, yung pag-spin niya. Okay? While VBA or RBA, siya yung tumutukoy sa velocity or position of point B relative to point A. Okay? So I want you to notice the X symbol dun sa angular velocity in RBA. So, ito yung tinatawag natin na vector cross product. Okay. So, again, yung W, siya yung angular velocity natin. So, when you cross the spin or the angular velocity ng position RBA natin, you will get a velocity vector na always perpendicular to the line connecting A and B. So, yun siya yung nire-represent nung W multiplied by RBA. Okay. Next, makita natin na yung rigid body natin is nag-undergo ng tinatawag nating general plane motion. So, ano yung general plane motion? So, ibig sabihin nito, yung rigid body natin is nag-undergo ng dalawang movement. Yung isa, translation. Yung isa naman is rotation. So, pag sinabi nating translation, nag-move siya in a specific direction. While rotation, nag-spin siya, nagro-rotate siya. Okay? Nagro-rotate yung rigid body natin. So, dito sa rigid body natin, makikita natin na yung VA, nire-represent niya yung translation. Yung movement ng point A towards a specific direction. So, makikita natin na kahit anong point, like point A and point B, pareha sila ng direction ng movement nila. Same direction lang. While yung angular velocity naman natin, nire-represent niya yung rotation ng rigid body natin. So, sa baba ng rigid body natin, may makita tayo dyan cross product direction. So, sa right hand rule ulit. No? So, makikita natin dyan yung index finger niya, nakaturo siya na nire-represent yung relative position ng B to A. While yung thumb naman niya is nire-represent yung direction ng angular velocity. No? So, nagro-rotate siya upwards. While yung pag-curl naman ng fingers mo, yun naman yung tinutukoy niya kung ano yung magiging direction and rotation ng pinaka-rigid body mo, no? At point B relative to A. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? So, sa engineering terms, ibig sabihin nun, for example, sa gulong, if alam mo kung gaano kabilis yung pag-ikot ng gulong mo, and if alam mo kung gaano kabilis yung pag-kilos ng isang axle, masasabi nung formula na to kung gaano kabilis yung movement ng bolt sa rim relative sa fixed ground. So, parang ganun siya. So, finally, na-reach na rin natin yung pinaka-complex part ng ating discussion, which is yung acceleration vector combination. So, bakit siya complex? Okay. Complex siya kasi mahirap siya i-analyze. Bakit? Kasi nag-involve siya ng dalawang changes. Kapag sinabi nating acceleration, nag-involve siya ng changes in speed and changes in direction. So, mahirap siya i-analyze, no? So, for example, meron tayong rigid body dito na ina-analyze natin. And tulad nung mga nauna nating slide and formulas, hinahanap natin yung acceleration sa B. Okay. So, sa analyzation natin, magka-come up tayo ng ganitong formula, which is AB is equals to AA plus A multiplied by RBA plus W multiplied by RBA. So, saan mga tumutukoy yan? So, yung AB, siya yung acceleration of point B. While AA, siya yung acceleration of point A. Tapos, yung isa pang mukhang A, which is yung alpha, nire-represent niya yung angular acceleration ng rigid body. While RBA, nire-represent niya ulit yung position of B relative to A. Okay? And yung W, siya yung angular velocity. So, para maintindihan natin to, kailangan natin tumingin dito sa tatlong component ng acceleration. So, discuss na rin naman to nung naunang reporter, pero pasadahan ulit natin. No? So, dito sa translational acceleration, yung tumutukoy yung movement, yung acceleration ng isang object towards specific direction, forwards, backwards. Yun yun. So, dito, yung translational acceleration natin is nagmumula dito sa reference point at A. So, nafe-feel siya ng buong object. Okay? Well, dito naman sa tangential acceleration, tumutukoy dito if yung body is nagro-rotate siya with increasing speed or decreasing speed, no? Okay, so dito natin malilink yung angular acceleration. Nag-a-act siya perpendicular sa point B relative to A while pinupush niya yung B faster along its circular path, no? Paikot. So, dito naman sa normal acceleration, makikita natin na kahit na yung body or yung object is gumagalaw and nag-spin at a constant speed, yung point B, lagi siyang nag-change ng direction para mag-stay siya in circle. So, itong component na to, lagi siyang nagpo-point directly back sa pinaka-reference natin, which is yung point A. So, sa tunay na buhay, magagamit natin tong equation na to para ma-ensure natin if yung materials kaya niyang i-withstand yung mga malalaki, sabihin natin mga massive G forces na nakikreate dito sa tatlong component ng acceleration. So, yun yung importance nitong formula na to. So, by mastering these three formulas, yung position, yung velocity, tapos acceleration vector combination, uh, kakaroon ka ng complete toolkit para ma-solve yung mga kinematic problems dito sa dynamics.
So, after ma-discuss ng mga kagrupo ko kung ano yung tangential and normal acceleration and kung ano yung mga formulas na gagamitin sa pagsosolve ng acceleration components na to. So, we will now proceed on solving sample problems. So, I'm Anis Luis Philip and ako yung unang magsasolve ng problem sa group. So, sample problem 1. A motorist is traveling on a curved section of highway with a radius of 250 feet at a speed of 60 miles per hour. The motorist suddenly applies thus the brake, causing the automobile to slow down at a constant rate. If the speed has been reduced to 40 miles per hour after 8 seconds, determine the acceleration of automobile immediately after the brakes have been applied. So, ang una natin gagawin is since naka miles per hour yung given, so ang gagawin natin is i-convert natin siya to feet to second. So ito yung lalabas. So check ulit natin. So 60 times 5,280 over 1 times 1 over 3,600 seconds is equals to 88 feet per second. Dun sa isa, 45 miles per hour times 5,280 over 1 times 1 over 3,600 seconds is equals to 66 feet per seconds. So, makukuha na natin si tangential acceleration. So, tangential acceleration is equals to change in v over change in time. So, kung since given naman yung mga values niya, ito ang magiging ganito siya. So, 66 feet per seconds minus 88 feet per seconds over 8 seconds. So, yung 66 is yung final velocity na i-convert natin. So, yun yung 45 kanina. Then, yung 88 is yung initial velocity kanina, yung 60. Then, yung given na 8 seconds. So, putting it in sa calculator, ang magiging sagot niya is negative 2.75 feet per second squared since acceleration siya. Then, sa normal acceleration, ang gagamitin nating formula is yung normal acceleration is equals to v squared over p. So, check natin sa calculus. So, 88 squared over 2,500 feet is equals to 3.0976. So, rounding up sa 2 decimal, makukuha natin is 3.10 feet per second squared. So, para ma-solve si A, so, kailangan natin i-consider tong figure na to. So, gagamit tayo ng trigonometric function. So, para makuha si angle alpha, gagamit tayo ng tangent. So, opposite over adjacent. So, ito, tan alpha is equals to normal acceleration over tangential acceleration. So, solving para makuha si A. So, arctan times arctan ng 3 over 3.10 tas 2.75 is ang magiging sagot is 48.42 degrees. So, solving for A naman, so A pala, si alpha pala yung hinanap natin kanina. So, para makuha si A is equals to normal acceleration over sine alpha is equals to 3.10 over sine 48.42. So, makukuha nating acceleration is 4.15 feet per second squared. So, yun, nahanap na natin hinanap sa problem na to, which is yung acceleration. So, proceed tayo sa next problem. So, proceed tayo sa problem 2. Ako pa rin to, si Anis Luis Philip. So, a monorail train starts from rest on a curve of radius 400 meter and accelerate at a constant rate at 80 if the maximum total acceleration of the train must not exceed 1.5 meter per second squared. A. The shortest distance in which the train can reach a speed of 72 km per hour. Then B. The corresponding constant rate of acceleration 80. So, ang una ulit natin gagawin is conversion. So, i-convert natin yung 72 km per hour sa meter per second. So, ganito magiging process niya. So, check ulit natin sa calcu gaya kanina. 72 times 1,000 over 1 times 1 over 3,600 seconds equals to 20 meter per second. So, yung nakuha nating 20, gagamitin natin para ma-solve si normal acceleration. So, v squared over r. So, substitution, 20 squared over 40. Normal acceleration is equals to 1 meter per second squared. So, yung nakuha nating normal acceleration is gagamitin natin dito sa quadratic equation para makuha si tangential acceleration. So, since given na si A, yung maximum acceleration which is 1.5, ipa-plug in lang natin siya dito sa equation. So, 1.5 is equals to square root of tangential acceleration squared plus 1 squared is equals to tangential acceleration is equals to 1.12 meter per second squared. So, ito na yung sagot sa B. So, galing, no? Unang nakakuha yung B bago sa A. So, gagamitin natin yan sa A mamaya para makuha natin yung shortest distance. So, next. So, nakuha natin yung tangential acceleration. So, i-consider natin siya sa acceleration since distance yung pinag-uusapan. So, gagamitin nating formula is yung final velocity squared is equals to initial velocity squared plus 2 acceleration times distance. So, since ang sabi sa problem is ano mo sabi sa a monorail train starts from rest. So, ibig sabihin, yung initial velocity niya is 0. So, nagiging 0 to. Tapos yung final velocity na nakuha natin kanina is yung kaya siya naging 20 is because siya yung 72 na na-convert natin to miles per second. Then, yung 1.12 is yung nakuha nating tangential acceleration kanina. So, solving it results to S is equals to 178.57 meters. So, yun. Nakuha na natin yung A, nakuha na natin yung B. So, yun. Yun lang yung, ganun lang kadali yung problem 2. So, next is yung kagrupo ko na yung magre-report or magso-solve. So, yun. Sana makinig kayo.
So, hello guys, this is now Adrian Ronald Viola speaking, and we will now proceed to problem number 3. The problem says, the racing car shown in the figure is traveling at 90 km per hour when it enters the semicircular curve at A. The driver increases the speed at a uniform rate, emerging from the curve at C at 144 km per hour. So A, determine the tangential acceleration when the car is at B, and B, determine the normal acceleration when the car is at B, and C, determine the magnitude of the acceleration when the car is at B. Yan. So, una, upon analyzation of the problem, mababasa natin dyan na sinabi, yung speed daw, uniform siya. from point A to point C. No? So, ibig sabihin, yung travel niya from point A to point C, constant lang siya. Hindi nagbago yung value niya. Kasi normal lang yung naging change in speed eh. And ano ba yung alam natin about sa speed? 'Di ba alam naman natin na kapag sinabing speed, ang responsible diyan is si tangential acceleration. Kasi si normal acceleration, 'di ba, siya yung responsible sa change in direction. Yan. So kung si tangential acceleration ay responsible sa speed and yung speed ay uniform from A to C, ibig sabihin pala yung travel from A to C, hindi nagbago yung value, na A tangential lang siya. No? Iisang value lang kasi constant eh. Constant lang yung tangential acceleration natin from A to C. So, sabihin pala, sa problem letter A, hindi mo necessarily kailangang isolve yung tangential acceleration sa point B. Kasi same naman siya all throughout sa travel niya from A to C. Yan. So, kung pwede natin isolve anywhere yung tangential acceleration, mas mapapadali yung buhay natin. Pero una, i-convert muna natin yung mga given natin na velocity to meter. Kasi may given tayo na radius in meter. Yan, para mag-match naman sila. So, para gawin natin yun, si 90, i-divide lang natin sa 3.6. Ang lalabas dyan is 25 meters per second. Tapos si 144, ganun lang din. I-divide lang din natin sa 3.6 para maging 40 meters per second. Yan. Then next, burahin muna natin to. Kasi alam naman natin paano ginawa dyan. Yan, para hindi siya takaw space. Yan. So, labelan lang natin para hindi magulo. This is velocity at point A. This is velocity at point C. Yan. So, sunod, anong pwede natin gawin? So, to give us an idea kung paano yung gagawin, mag-back to basics muna tayo. Balik tayo sa rectilinear motion. So, guys, sa rectilinear motion, ang alam natin dun, si velocity, inline siya with acceleration, di ba? Inline. Yan. Pero actually, guys, this whole time, si acceleration sa rectilinear motion, A tangential din yun. No? Tangent din siya dun sa path nung travel. Tapos, meron din siyang normal acceleration. Kaya lang, wala siyang value. Kasi, ulitin natin, si normal acceleration, siya yung responsible for change in direction. So, dahil straight lang naman yung path, walang change in direction, kaya 0 lang yung value niya. Dahil 0 yung value niya, hindi na natin siya sinusulat. And si A tangential, equal na rin siya sa resultant acceleration. Yan. Kaya dinidiscard natin no, sa rectilinear motion, A na lang yung sinusulat natin. Yan. So, ba't ko ba sinabi yun? Kasi guys, pwede natin magamit yun. No? Since tangential acceleration pa lang naman yung kino-consider natin and same lang naman yung value niya from point A to point C, pwede nating i-convert muna yung curve into a straight path para mas madali siya i-analyze. Yan. Point A, point B, point C. A, B, C. Yan. Tapos, same lang yung acceleration tangential niya all throughout. Then, distance. May distance ba tayo? Wala, di ba? Wala tayong distance. Pero, madali lang i-solve yan. Paano natin i-solve yan? Yan. May given tayo na radius na mention sa problem na semicircle siya. So, madali na yan. Kasi alam naman natin na yung circumference is 2 pi r. So, kalahati lang nun, semicircle, divided by 2. So, pi r. So, ibig sabihin pala, si S natin is equal to pi r is equal din siya sa 100 pi. Yan. So, may distance na tayo. May distance na tayo, may tangential acceleration tayo for the whole travel, and meron na rin tayong initial and final velocity, which is yung velocity at A and velocity at C. So, pwede tayo gumamit ng kinematic equations. Nung gagamitin natin dun sa tatlo, syempre, yung walang time, kasi wala naman tayong given na time eh. Wala rin naman tayong nahanap na time. So, ano ba yun? Di ba yun yung BF squared is equal to BO squared plus 2AS. And so, yung BF natin dyan si 40 squared is equal to 25 squared plus 2. Tapos yung A na hinahanap natin. Tapos yung distance na nakuha natin na 100 pi. Yan. So, pag sinolve yan, ang makukuha natin na A tangential yan. So, pag sinolve yan, ang makukuha natin na value dyan is 1.55 meter per second squared. So, yun na yung A tangential natin. At any point. Which is at point B na rin. So, yun na yung sagot natin sa letter A. Yan. 1 down. 1 down. Yan. Sunod, dito naman tayo dun sa normal acceleration. So, di ba meron tayong doon, formula doon, normal acceleration is equal to V squared over radius. Tapos, since sabi doon sa problem letter B, point B yung hinahanap, so sabihin, velocity B yung kagamitin natin dito, si VB. No? So, may given tayo na radius, kailangan lang natin si VB. Paano natin kukunin si VB? So, gagamit lang ulit tayo ng kinematic equation. And same equation na yung gagamitin natin kasi wala pa rin naman tayong time. So, magiging initial mo dyan is yung velocity ni A, tapos siya yung final, si V. So, magiging VB squared is equal to yung velocity ni A squared plus 2, tapos yung acceleration natin dyan, which is constant naman, diba? Sa lahat. So, sabihin 1.55 pa din yan. Tapos, yung distance, sa point B, naging quarter circle na siya, diba? So, from semicircle, quarter circle na lang siya. So, sabihin, divide lang ulit natin sa 2. So, 100 pi divided by 2, 50 pi. Diba? So, dahil 50 pi na siya, yan, calculate muna natin. So, sheep solve tayo. Yan, kasi malupit mag-sheep solve eh. Yan, babash tayo ni sir, pero okay lang yan. 1.55 times 50 pi. Yan. Sheep solve. So, makukuha natin na value dyan ay VB is equal to 33.35 and meters per second. Yan. So, may VB na tayo. Input na lang natin siya. AN is equal to 33. Wait lang. Equal to 33.35 squared over radius na 100. And so, pag kinumpute yan, 33.35 squared over 100. So, makukuha natin sagot ay 11.12. Yan, 11.12 meter per second squared. Tapos, para makuha natin yung yan, wait lang, box muna natin. 11.12 meter per second squared. Then, para naman makuha natin yung magnitude of the acceleration when the car is at B. So, kailangan lang natin kunin yung resultant. No? Yung acceleration. So, A and A is equal to square root of 1.55 squared plus 11.12 squared. So, calculate natin. So, 1.55 squared plus 11.12 squared. Yung syntax error sa akin. Hindi ko pa nalagay yung Yan. So, ang sagot natin ay 11.23 meter per second squared. And so, yun ang sagot natin sa letter C. So, that's all for problem number 3. Let's now proceed to the next problem. And so, sabi dito, the automobile has a speed of 80 feet per second at point A and an acceleration having a magnitude of 10 feet per second, acting in the direction shown. And so, A, determine the radius of curvature of the path at point A, and B, determine the tangential component of acceleration. Yan. So, yun. Sabi dito, sa yung ano daw, yung acceleration, may given tayo na nag-act dun sa direction na pinapakita dun sa graph. So, ito yun. Ito yun, yung A na to. Yan. So, may value daw tayo dyan. A is equal to 10 feet per second. Yan. Tapos may angle tayo. No? So, ang unang pinapahanap is si radius, 'di ba? Sa radius, madali lang kunin yan kasi may formula naman tayo eh. Yan, AN is equal to V squared over R. No? Tapos, bali ang kailangan lang natin dyan, makuha, is si ano, si radius. Ay, hindi. Ako si radius lang kasi meron naman tayong given na ano eh. May given naman tayo na velocity, di ba? Tapos si ano pala, ang unknown pala natin dyan, si radius tsaka si normal acceleration. So, paano natin kukunin si normal acceleration? Guys, may given na tayo na angle. Sobrang dali na yan, no? So, para makuha natin yun, may acceleration naman tayo na given. So, ano lang, magko-component lang tayo. Resultant to component, di ba? So, kung yung resultant niya is 10 feet per second, alam naman natin na A n is equal to A sine no angle niya. No? So, AN is equal to value na 10 sine 30. And, so, 10 sine 30. So, huwag muna natin kalye para input na lang natin siya as is. So, bali, ang kakalabasan niyan, gamitin ulit natin tong equation na to. So, 10 sine 30 is equal to velocity na 80 squared over R. Ayan. So, solve natin to. Makukuha natin na value dyan ay solve. Yan. Ang makukuha natin na value dyan ay 1,280. Right? So, 1,280 feet. And feet yung unit natin. Then, i-reduce na tayo. So, nakuha kagad natin yung A. Yan. Then next, determine naman daw yung tangential component of acceleration. Din dali na rin nito. No? Speedy na lang. Quicken na lang. No? Yan. So, kasi may given ka nga na angle. So, 80 is equal to A cos 30. And so, makuha mo agad. 10 cos 30. And ang value niyan ay 5 square root of 3 or simply 8.66 and meter per second squared. Yan. Ay, naka-feet pala tayo, no? So, feet per second squared. Yan. Okay guys, so proceed tayo to our final problem for this topic. Yan. So, solve tayo ng madali lang na problem guys kasi medyo mahaba-haba na yung video. And so parang magsaserve lang to as a refresher no natin to the basics of this topic. And for our closing problem, the problem says the boat is traveling along the circular path with a speed of v is equal to 0.0625 t squared meter per second, where t is in seconds. Yan. So we are tasked here to find or determine the tangential acceleration when t is equal to 10 seconds. So guys, may given tayo dito na equation for velocity, no? Or speed. Yan, na 0.0625 t squared. And then, meron din tayong given dito na time t. So, pinapahanap sa atin dito, ano yung tangential acceleration niya at that point in time. So, paano natin gagawin to? Di ba alam naman natin yung mga formula natin for tangential and normal acceleration in this topic, no? Tangential acceleration is equal to dv over dt, and normal acceleration is equal to v squared over r. So, ngayon, si tangential acceleration lang naman yung hanap natin, di ba? So, gamitin natin siya. Yan. So, ibig sabihin pala, to find the equation for tangential acceleration, all we have to do is find an equation for velocity and then differentiate natin, no? Ngayon, so, may given na tayo dyan na velocity. So, sobrang dali na lang, no? Back to differential equations lang tayo. And so, differentiate natin. Sulat muna natin, no? So, V is equal to 0.0625 t squared. So, to differentiate this, magiging dv to, magiging dt to. And so, para ma-differentiate to, ilipat lang natin to dito sa harap, and then minus 1 lang natin yung n niya, no? N power niya. So, ang kakalabasan niyan, 0.0625 times 2. So, magiging 0.125 t na lang, no? So, magiging 0.125 t. Yan. So, yan na yung value ng ano niya, dv over dt niya, no? So, babalik lang natin to dito, si dt. Yan, yun na yung magiging value ng dv over dt, which is equal din sa 80, no? Then next, ngayon nakuha na natin yung derivative or yung differentiation, input na lang natin yung condition na in time 10 seconds, no? So, 0.125 times 10. So, syempre, since 10 lang naman yan, lipat lang tayo ng isang decimal, no? So, magiging 1.25. So, therefore, our tangential acceleration at time is equal to 10 is equal to 1.25 meter per second squared. And so that would be all for this topic, no? I hope everyone learned and was able to understand what we taught for this topic. So that will be all. Thank you, and God bless always.